We are now just exploring the whole idea of body as a means of communication. So it's how we use our body, either consciously or unconsciously, to communicate something to another person, but also how our body communicates with us. So, body as a way that we can communicate with others, and body as a way that we can communicate to ourselves. And many of us have talked as well about that in our own experience of how we experience our body and its way of talking to us. How, when we settle a bit and we're present, that it can be challenging, and yet it's at the same time so insightful. And sometimes, as we move through the challenge of being with that body and listening to the communication, we actually move through the scary part and we get to this amazing, like playful, pleasurable part, or we might release something that was a barrier in our own life for that vital energy. So, allowing ourselves to be present to the communication of the body. That being said, we're not going to let you sit with that body for very long. And so, what I want us to do is to get up from our seated position and stop where you are. Stop right where you are. So if you are halfway up, stop there. Freeze in the position that you are in. Good. If you are like going to fall over, you can move a little bit. If you are in extreme pain, you can also move and adjust yourself, but try to stay somewhat close to where you were when I said stop. And just getting a sense of where your body's at right now. You can exaggerate the motion a little bit if you want. Again, moving a little bit out of it if it's like too straining. And sensing how that feels to be in that position. Is it uncomfortable? Is it feel freeing? Does it feel normal or regular, or something that you've experienced before or that you experience often? Or is it just like a temporary feel right now? So getting to know that. Now, remembering a little bit of what your posture feels like right now and the posture that you are in, we will try to return to that. All right, and so then pull yourself out of that for a second and take a deep breath, because that's intense. We're going to take a moment to, again, do breakout rooms, and we're going to partner with the same partner we had in the breakout rooms before. As we partner, what we want to do is give about 2 minutes to 3 minutes to the one partner, and then 2 to 3 minutes to the other partner. And what we're going to do is try to imitate that posture that we just did, or go into something similar and hold it. And we want to describe what we're experiencing to the person that we are partnered with. So we're going to take that moment to describe what we're experiencing in our body, particularly if we're noticing what's uncomfortable, what's comfortable, what might be temporary, and then really interestingly enough, like what feels like it is familiar. Like, how is my body imitating something that I might have experienced before? So it's talking about sensations that are familiar to us. Then we're going to also have our partner model look at us, observe us, and be able to share what they are seeing as communicated. Now, our partners are going to go second so that they can say, oh, yeah, that was what was communicated to me. Or, no, I didn't really get that. What I got was this when I was watching. I saw this or that. And so it's just really serving as an observational person, not about judging, more about just being aware of what is being communicated to you as the observer.
If they can even put it into words, my body is saying, ouch, or my body is saying, I want to get going, or my body is saying, I'm tired, or my body is saying,
what is it wanting to, what's it wanting to communicate? So what is it saying? What am I saying? Or what does it feel like it's saying to me as the person that is in the position? And then what is your partner is also then later going to reflect back to you, what is your body saying to them? And then you flip roles so that you each get to experience that. And then you can take a little bit of time to share about that process. Coming back.
I'm back.
One of the things that we might have noticed or experienced as we were doing the last exercise is that our body might communicate something to ourselves, and then it also communicates something to other people that we're with. And we might find that some of those things that we experienced in the last exercise, where we were kind of holding a posture of getting up, that some of those sensations were temporary. Hopefully, like if any of it was pain, it was temporary. So, and then other sensations might have been sensations that we experience more often in our lives. Like maybe I felt a little bit more holding in my chest, or I might have felt more of a gripping in my hands, or when I said stop, maybe like a fear sensation entered in, or a frustration. So just noticing what is like maybe more of a long-term communication or pattern that our body communicates to the world. So that pattern is a part of how others identify us. And it might be something that we're familiar with as well. So we wanted to go through this next exercise to demonstrate different ways that we can hold in our body. We can hold tension, or we can hold old patterns, or hold energy or emotion. And so we're going to demo a bit of that as we go into this next portion of our day.
We're going to look at various positions that parts of our body take and can be relatively enduring. And say, as Jayne was saying, some things that we are communicating to ourselves as well as the world around us. I always like to start with the feet right at the bottom, because the feet is our contact feature with the earth, with Mother Earth. And sometimes if contact with Mother Earth or other people is scary, we have high arches. And you notice as I bring my arches up, so do my shoulders go up, but we're just looking at the feet right now. So, you know what? Let's take these off. And so you can have high arches and feels normal to you, but it takes you off the earth, takes you away from contact with the earth. The opposite of that is flat feet, or life is a drudgery and I don't have any spring in my step. Or it may be that I'm not headed in the same direction. There's part of me that like over here, but then that's not a bad idea either. I could go over there. And then how about this one? And so our feet headed in unison in the same direction. The general sense of aliveness in our feet. Are they kind of like without much turgor in them, or are they flabby? So paying attention to how we're grounded and how we feel comfortable on earth starts right with our feet. And then we go to
our ankles. Flowers. So let's see. So with our ankles, they're also similar to the feet in that oftentimes we can hold them a little bit more rigid and less flexibility. And when they're held more rigid and less flexible, less movement, it can create more of a sense of disconnection again with the earth, and the earth, that sense of grounding. It also can bring us a sense more fear, anxiety to us as we walk through the world, because it so lifts us from the earth that we don't have that connection anymore. So having that feeling of rigidity in the ankles can be disconnecting and increase our anxiety body. The other thing, we talking about positives at all?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So when we have a little bit more fluidity and flexibility, then that allows for the energy to flow a little bit more clearly down to the earth. And so it can help us to like feel more grounded and feel more supported. And it can clear some of that anxiety that we might carry above the ankles.
Right? Moving on up, the knees. Sometimes growing up fast and having to take care of yourself and being independent means that we literally lock our knees in order to stand up straight. But it gives us very little flexibility, as Jayne was just saying with the ankles. So it is with the knees, that if we can keep, not that we're bended completely, but soft knees will give us more of an opportunity to choose where we want to balance ourselves. There's folk expressions, as we've talked about, that go with all of these body postures. And bringing someone to their knees is an old expression that has to do with how the knees hold fear. A person gets really scared and their knees are shaking. The knees is a part of the body that can all encompass fear. And so what we're looking to do is to keep a balance in our fluidity and our strength, so that we're not weak-kneed, weak in the knees, or we're not rigid. Yes.
And that flexibility you're talking about, Jim, and I'm reminded often of my knees when my knees and ankles and my legs are softer and more flexible. They're like kind of like shock absorbers.
It's exactly right. Because if I'm walking, and this includes the lower part of the body, and my knees are locked and the ankles are tight, every time I hit the earth, boom, it sends a shock up the body.
Mm-hmm. So then we're coming up to the thighs, and sometimes we can walk around like really maybe feeling muscular in the thighs, but perhaps they're also tightened and locked. So walking around with the thighs a little bit more tense and locked together. And as we do that, as we experience that, it actually tightens up the genital area. So it often can be a way that we walk if we're trying to protect or feel like we're blocking. So this can impact our sexual expression, our sexuality, what we receive sexually. And it might have been something that we developed as a protection technique, but it also ends up kind of blocking that sexual expression and the genital health even in our bodies. And so it's a sense of the tension being held in the thigh area, in this area.
Moving up further to the buttocks. All of these pieces are tied together, by the way, as we demonstrate. You'll see it's not just one part of the body that's being held, it affects all of the other parts. But I think the roots of the tight-ass society, as it's been called, are right back there in our toilet training. And when we are taught that we can't make a mess, that we have to hold it all in, we can't let bad things out, can start right at 2, 3 years old, that becomes a natural posture for us. And so we're holding our butt cheeks tight and don't even know it. It's just natural for us. Or even worse than that, we've been shamed. And then we're tucking the butt in like a dog with the tail tucked between the legs. And you might say, well, what's the difference? What kind of posture you have? Well, it's sending a message to myself. No, I have to hold it in. Something's wrong with me. I'm full of bad stuff. And of course, that gets communicated to the world. It becomes a general posture.
And then sometimes with the pelvis, which is, we talked a little bit of how the thighs impact the pelvis, but the pelvis can go in different extremes of expression. So it might be like a more of a loose sensation in the world, and it might be, again, as something that's translated of how we learn to express ourselves and what was important. So we might be a lot more loose and looser than in our pelvis than we are wanting. So it can actually throw out our sense of balance and stability. Or on the other end, it can be really tight and feel locked. And so then we actually end up impacting the low back and the glutes, front of the hips. And so carrying ourselves a little bit more tense and tight and trying to hold everything together at a level of the hips and pelvis.
Yeah, I can see that's where that expression, a loose person, comes from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like walking loosely, right? Like, the belly is the area, the furnace of the body. This is where our food is digested, where even in the solar plexus, there's a sense of power and autonomy. And if it's overdone, if it's overplayed, you walk around like, yeah, I can push people around. Ugh. It's all my way. Al Capone was an American gangster, if you would, was known as a man of belly. In other words, he demonstrated power over others. Or it can be an area that's continually upset because I've swallowed too many things. I haven't really expressed my general feelings or wants and desires. I keep swallowing stuff, and oh, this place is always in turmoil.
So to go along with the Al Capone, there's a Jayne Capone. It's my Italian heritage. Yeah. So another way to express kind of that intense, tight, driven leadership, where I might be more not so fluid with it, but a little bit harder, is holding the chest forward and up, and like I'm gonna move through the world. I'm gonna move through the world with my heart out, but not so much open out. It's more like a protected armor out. So I have a tightness, a tension in the chest area and the heart area. We also might have the opposite of like a collapsed chest, where it kind of goes in, and I feel like I've got to be wary of everything that's coming around me, whether it's connection or that scary Al Capone leader that we just saw. So then I might have more of a collapsed kind of chest or heart area.
The back is where the long muscles of the body are located. And these are the muscles that we use when we want to move something, when we want to get something done. We use the muscles of the back. And if they're overinflated, think of the image of the Hulk, to intimidate other people. The back flares up, and it's like demonstrating, I've got a lot of power. Or am I weak spine? And or the expression is in the culture, a spineless character that doesn't seem to be able to take a stand for anything. Oh, I'm sorry, am I taking too much time?
Yes.
Okay, you go.
Just easy. All right. So then we go to the shoulders, and we might be more like talking about taking the responsibility of the world, the weight of the world on our shoulders. So it might be more of like a tension in the shoulders of the heaviness of what that responsibility might look like on us. The other way of looking at that might be this feeling of fear. And so we hold our shoulders up, and we had a little bit of that experience this morning. So holding the shoulders up a little bit, and maybe feeling a little withdrawn or afraid of what's coming at us. And so we might kind of be protecting with our shoulders upwards. And then the other thing might be more of a rounded, again, going back to that overwhelmed feeling, or also protecting our heart feeling.
Okay, the neck and the head in general tell us about the connection between our feeling self and our thinking self. And if I have a long, thin neck, and my head is above all of the feelings that people have in life, you know, trivial things that I'm above, I can have that bearing of myself, of being above it all. Or the opposite of that would be like no neck, just stuck down, and it's like everything that is in my gut comes out my mouth. Hey, Andy, how about a couple of brewskis after the, yeah, well, look at it. Hey, come on, man. Or the head is out in front of the body. And so it's all I'm thinking about. I'm in my head all the time. I'm wondering, oh, nodding, that must mean you're thinking you can do something better than me. Yeah. So personally, that's one thing that I work on, is keeping my head relatively on my shoulders rather than out in front of me 2 miles.
So we also practiced a little bit with the face today, and so we could talk about our face kind of being a mask. And not showing expression, or being more rigid, and maybe it's fixed in a specific feeling. Or you might do the, and be more alive and be like this kind of a energy, this vital energy in our faces, and more of the expression. We also might communicate through our eyes. So like some of the fear that might be experiencing, if there's an intense fear that's in our bodies, and just kind of feeling that and expressing that through our eyes, or having on the opposite end more like a vital connection through our eyes. And so how we hold our lips. And so just playing with that. So all these things are different ways that our body holds and signifies and expresses who we are to the world. And some of the things feel right in balance for us, and other things might feel like, oh, that's not really what I'm wanting to communicate. I think one way that I found this out really strongly for myself was that one of the staff people that I worked with in my team thought that I was angry with them. I didn't like their work at all. And what I found was that actually what was happening inside my body was that I was really anxious about the stress level that I was carrying in this position. And what she was reading, what she was getting, was what I was communicating to her was that I disapproved of her. Honestly, she was an amazing employee. So it was not anything to do with her her way of being, her performance, the way that she was a part of our team was amazing. So it was a really good help, actually, that reflection back to me. What it helped me to do was to just breathe into, one, my facial muscles, but also work with my own anxiety and stress levels and shift them, and know how important my own self-practice was in order to create a safer space really for our team, a better, more balanced experience in my own body, and a safer space for the team around me.
Oh, beautiful, Jayne. Interesting impulses when you were being red-faced. You know, I just wanted to go. like
that was scaring me. You know?
It's like others will interpret, as you were saying, our postures according to their own patterns and their own beliefs about life. And to be able to be self-aware, then also to be communicative with others. And apparently you were able to have a discussion with because of your self-awareness and candor, that you were able to have a discussion and clear that communication. Great. Okay. Thank you, Jayne.
Thank you.